These four guys bleed New Jersey Devils hockey. It's Chris, Dan, Bobby, and Tony, the Uncle Puckers.
Well, Devil Nation, the wait is over. No more running to your phone every time you get a notification. No more checking Twitter every 30 seconds to see if the deal was done. It is done. Timo Meier is now a New Jersey Devil with what I think is the biggest blockbuster trade that this team has ever made, with the amount of players that are being moved around for this guy. So we're going to talk a little bit about that trade, jump into a couple of things, all the players involved. So we're the Uncle Puckers. It's me, Chris Cole, Dan Martin, Tony Anderson, Bobby Pennsylvania. We're all here, and we're ready to talk Timo Meier. What's up, guys?
What is up? I need a time check. What time is it?
It is...
It is Timo time. That's what time it is.
I missed
Timo
that
time.
one.
Yeah.
Ask me that again. Ask me again.
Well, I thought you would have saw it coming, but I couldn't resist. I'm so excited about this.
Do it one more time.
What time is it?
It's 6:14.
That's right. 6:14. Thank you.
Say it slowly while rubbing the oil on.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing that right now. You kids can't see that below the desk.
Did you watch the yesterday's episode, Dan, of The Last of Us? I haven't seen it yet.
Yes, I did.
I'm watching it after the show. The girls are waiting to watch it, so...
It's good. They're all a little different. This one's a little different, but it's good.
Yeah, I heard it was a flashback episode. So
yes,
I just
and
want to know...
I didn't get that till the end. I really didn't. I was
Really?
like, what? Yeah, because...
I guess I
don't
gotta
know,
watch
but-
it.
Yeah, I think I was being stupid too. You'll know it's a flash, especially if you're looking for a flashback. It'll be obvious at that point. But
Yeah, my daughter told me at dinner that it was a flashback episode. So yeah, watch
Not
that
bad.
later. All right, so let's talk about this giant trade. All right, so should we start first with what we gave up, or should we start with what we've acquired? What do you guys think?
Gave up.
Anyone? Gave up? All right. So the parameters of this deal. So the Sharks acquire forward Andreas Janssen. We all know that was mostly, I think, just a salary dump more than anything. You know, I mean, Andreas Janssen was $2.5 million salary with a 2.275 cap hit. 28 years old. He only played 2 games up with the big clubs this season, which I think he had no points, no assist, no nothing. So last season he played 71 games for the Devs with 13 goals, 22 assists, 35 points, plus 4 rather. We tried to get rid of him once. He cleared waivers, ended up back with us. Is anyone losing any sleep over Andreas Janssen becoming a Shark?
No, even last year he only had a few streaks, if you remember. There was a couple times where he got hot, and that was it last year.
Yeah, I agree. This one, I think could end up, Fabian Zetterlund, I hope it works out for him there. I really like him. I think, he'll get a lot more ice time now playing in San Jose. I like that, I'm kind of bummed that he's leaving this team because I think he does have a bright upside. But, okay, he's 5'11", 220, 23 years old. Again, his salary, not too much. He's $75,000 this year, plus, and that's a full $750,000 this year, and that whole $750 was towards the cap. This year, he played 45 games. He had 6 goals, 14 assists, 20 points, plus 4. He was a solid third, fourth, bottom 6 guy. Big upside, I think, with Zetterlund. I think the Sharks are getting a good future player there.
yeah, that's the one I'm going to miss the most out of this. What we're giving up is Zetterlund, definitely.
Defenseman Shakir, this is tough. Mukhamadullin? Am I saying
sure,
that right?
Why not? Yeah,
All right.
of course.
He's a KHL player, 21 years old, 6'4", 190 pounds. He's played 67 games in the KHL. He's got six goals, 19 assists, 25 points, plus 16. One of our top defensive prospects. And so now he is a San Jose Shark. And the last guy, who's an actual player that's going in this thing, defenseman Nikita Okhotyuk, who we've all seen this year. 22 years old, 6'1", 195 pounds. He has, I think, 14... How many games did he play this year? 1 goal, whatever, no assists. I think he played 10 games. He was our 61st overall pick in the second round. And he's gone. And we have a 2023 first-round pick going to San Jose, 2024 conditional first-round pick going to San Jose, and a 2024 seventh-round pick going to San Jose. That's a big haul. And what do you guys think? That conditional pick is going to be what? Conditioned on whether or not he signs the extension, he ends up with this team?
Well, there was two conditions, weren't there? And I'm still trying to sort it all out. Bobby, you remember what they were?
One condition I heard is that if we make it to the conference finals and he plays in at least half of those games,
right?
And that's one of the conditions. I'm not sure if there was a second part to that. That's what I just heard about a couple hours ago.
Right.
Okay. So it's a big haul. I mean, it's a lot to give up, but we had it, and we said and we're not losing anybody who is a steady guy in our lineup night after night. That's big. And then we get to what the Devils acquire. The big one, forward, Timo Meier. He's a big guy, 6'1", 220 pounds, 26 years old. He's played 57 games this year, 31 goals, 21 assists, 52 points, a -19. He's playing on a crappy team, Career, 451 games. He's had 154 goals, 162 assists, 316 points, -39 for his career. $6 million cap hit this year for him. There's a $10 million qualifying offer if the Devils don't lock him up before he hits the restricted free agency market. But that's the big one, guys. How friggin' psyched are you guys?
It's a game changer, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to make them, one of the top teams in the playoffs. They went in as a question mark, but, for a question mark, this is as good as it's going to get. I mean, you can't make this team any better on paper. Now it's just a matter of executing. It really is. So, they did a lot by acquiring him. It's a huge addition. I'm curious about the next guy that they picked up out of this trade because
he's on waivers already. I heard tonight.
Which one?
Oh, Harrington?
Yeah.
They put him on waivers?
I think I'm going to check again, but I saw earlier that they put him on waivers tonight already.
Interesting. I was going to ask you guys if you thought he'd see the club at all, but it looks like the answer is no.
Yeah, I need to double check that, but I did read that earlier this evening.
Because
Bobby, what were you going to say?
His stats were...
Yeah. I mean, the Jim came straight out and said that's a depth guy. So for that, he's probably just trying to send him down, use him in reserve.
Well, let's talk about him then. Defenseman Scott Harrington, age 29. He's a little bit long in the tooth for a guy that we're looking for, 6'2", 204 pounds. He has some size. He played 28 games this year. He has 1 goal, 6 assists, 7 points, -7 for his career. He's played 238 games. 8 goals, 37 assists, 45 points, -18. And he's only coming in at $750,000 too, and that's $750 against the cap as well. So is that right, Tony? Did we send him out on waivers?
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. So easy come, easy go, and I don't know if anyone's going to pick him up, but
I was just curious about that because I feel like that's our only other area that we could improve on paper is to pick up one more solid defenseman, and I don't know how solid his stats even looked to fit that role, but I was thinking trade of all trades if we actually fill that role too. Looks like no, we're still maybe not too bad in the defense department, but we have one hole here or there we could plug.
Well, don't forget the deadline's not till Friday, so
Tom Wilson. So I'm
Oh
gonna...
yeah, I heard talk of that. What do you think? You think that's a reality?
I heard it's definitely. I mean, I've seen a lot of rumors. Actually, the last 24 hours, I've seen his name mentioned to the Devils a lot. But is it just us Devil fans saying it? I don't know, but I've seen it a lot actually. He would be a hell of an addition to that, especially for the playoffs. I mean, I saw some people being like he's a dirty player, but I'm a Claude Lemieux fan, man.
Yes.
I mean, he was, as we all know, in that basement at Chris's house back in the day. Like Claude Lemieux was vital, and I think Tom Wilson could be a great addition if they could actually pull that off.
I haven't heard anything about him possibly going to the Devils, but I mean, every time I watch Washington play, it's like that's the kind of guy the Devils need. I mean, and even at this, the guy's old. I mean, he's up there in age, and he's still producing at a high level. I would love to see if Tom Wilson came on this team. That would be another. I think right now we just got right under Boston as far as our talent level goes. You throw a guy like Tom Wilson in there, we can compete with Boston.
Yeah, there's an answer to Marchand right there.
Yes.
Tom Wilson. You kind of want that in a playoff series against Boston. Would love that. We were talking about Domi, but position doesn't really quite fit. But to be honest, my expectations for that last spot is just to replace Severson. I would love a Tom Wilson, but I would take. I don't know. I was thinking Harrington. Can we use him? Can he? Because so far, the only thing I saw is Severson has kind of fucked up. Meier's, entry to this team by making him choose a different number.
96, is it?
Yeah, he's going 96 because 28 is Severson's number, which is like, listen, you're shitting all over Rafalski's number if you want to know the truth. I would be happy for him to do a little switch there, but I guess that's not going to happen.
I didn't know that was. It didn't even click to me what his number was. I mean, so what's Meier going to win with 96 because that asshole will give up 28? Not like Mercer, who happily gave 18 to Palat.
After I bought the goddamn jersey, man. I got the black jersey with Mercer in there right now, the old number. I was like, right afterwards, I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
You get him to sign the one with the old number on it, and then there you go. Maybe it's worth
played off to put Palat on there, but no.
There were two other guys involved in this deal, and maybe Dan, we did get another defenseman, so maybe that's the answer to your questions. I'm still really hoping that, Luke Hughes gets called up at some point, or at least comes over.
Think he will?
I don't know. It's getting kind of late in the year, but I would love it. I would welcome it at any point. Game 82. I don't care.
Danica was mentioning it halfway through that you could possibly see it, but now I don't hear about it as much.
Right.
They were talking for a while that when the Michigan was done playing, that he was coming right up to the big club, that he wasn't going down to Utica, that they were bringing him right up, and then it kind of just disappeared, and they didn't hear anything else. So I don't know what's going on with that. So we got another defenseman here, Santira Hataka, age 22, 6'1", 191 pounds. He is, I think he's playing down in the minors right now. Career, he's got 9 goals, 9 games played, no goals, 2 assists, -5, $770,000 salary. He was a 6th-round pick for San Jose. He went 184th overall. Work in progress, developmental guy. So he's probably. I think he's reported right down to Utica, right?
I would think so.
And then we have. Did we talk about the other forward that's coming over?
No, we did not.
Timur Ibragimov. This is a left winger, 22 years old, 6'1", 183 pounds. He was drafted in 2019 by the Sharks. He's with this season with the Wichita Thunder, so he's down with I think that's ECHL or AHL, whatever. 53 games, 11 assists, 53 games, 11 goals, 21 assists, 32 points. And he has reported already to Utica. So Timur Ibragimov is guy number 4. And then we also got ourselves a goaltender. Zachary Emin, 22 years old, 6'3", 165 pounds, tall guy, thin guy. He went in the 6th round, 176 overall. He's now with the ECHL Thunder. He's played 4 games this year. He's got a goals against average of 2.22, save percent of .936. His numbers are better than Blackwood's. 3-1-0, and he reported to Utica as well. We also get a 2024, 5th round pick, and one of the best things about this is that the Sharks retain 50% of Timo Meier's contract. So that's awesome. So this is a lot of moving parts for a huge trade. So, guys, let's go. Bobby, you first. What do you think?
I'm positively giddy. This is absolutely awesome. I put out yesterday that this was a steal on our text. Some of you might not agree with that so much. I'm going to tell you why. It's not that we fleeced San Jose. That's not what I mean by a steal. Okay, they had the high asset that we needed. They're going to get slightly better picks in the draft than they're going to give us. Their prospects are going to be slightly lower than the ones that they're going to give us. They got to make out on that end of the deal. Where this is a steal from the NHL standpoint. Everybody wanted this guy. We got him. Everybody would take this guy. We have him. This changes our team drastically. And what we gave up is nothing. It is nothing to this team. Zetterlund is a fine player. I don't care. See you later. Somebody else can come up and take that spot. The defenseman we got and Johnson, that's just a swap of stuff, right? We've moved across a couple of prospects. The picks we even worked out with, we give them a 7th round. We get the 7th round or whatever. Give them the 7th. We get the 5th. So we even moved up a little spot there. None of that matters. Timo Meier is going to be here. I think he's going to be signed. It's going to change the whole dynamic of this team. And the defensemen we gave up, I heard, are very good prospects. Okay, that's true. They wanted them for a reason because San Jose is really looking to build up their defense. But when you look at our defense, 4 of the positions are locked up to 2008, I think, or close. And then we got Luke, Nemec coming in. We don't have much room. We dealt from a position of power. I would have given him more. This is such a win for us.
I think you're 100% right. And I think that what you just said is key. Without, the depth on defense that they have in their prospect pool, especially with Hughes and Nemec, who, should be stars in this league very soon. Yeah, I agree. Like it's all about Timo Meier, and at that point, I don't give a shit. Whatever you want, as long and Fitzgerald was able to do it without touching a regular starter on this team. That's huge.
Or our top 4 prospects when you think about it, and this still gives my Holtz boy some life. I'm telling you, it's going to come through next year or so, and we're going to be glad that we still have him. And if he were in a trade and he went to San Jose, then 3-4 years from now, I'd be watching him score his 50 goals, and I'd be completely happy with him while I look back at our 4th Stanley Cup. But as of right now, that's not the deal unless we go out and pull something for another defenseman. So I'm just psyched that our top 4 or 5 prospects didn't even get touched, and we got this guy. This is not something that we're used to.
Definitely not.
Question for you guys.
Biggest trade deadline ever, right? Like, have we ever had a trade deadline move this huge?
Well, the ones that have happened at trade deadlines that I can think of that were like kind of big moves. Like I remember it being a big deal when the Devils made the trade before the deadline for Dougie Gilmour. That didn't really pan out the way that we would have liked. Maybe the Joe Nieuwendyk coming over with Langenbrunner. Maybe that was another big one that kind of set this team up. But Kovalchuk, maybe.
Trade deadline for just before the playoffs. My biggest one I could think of was McGillman, and he was a little bit on the back end of his career, but he did exactly what we needed him to do for that playoff run. I remember the headlines. It was a really big deal, and this trumps that.
This is a huge deal, and I think everybody in the Eastern Conference's ears just perked up, and they went, "Oh shit!" These guys are really serious about making a run this year, and they definitely. And like I said, I think they just became the 4th or 5th. They went from the 4th or 5th best team in the East to the 2nd. I really do. And you look at the prior game against the Flyers, where they just completely decimated Philadelphia. And that was a complete game, all the way around. And then, I feel like the team now finally has some, now this is over. Meier will be in. Whether or not he plays in this week, we don't know because he still, I guess, has a little bit of a upper body injury going on. So hopefully he'll play. He wants to be able to play Colorado Thursday night, or Wednesday night, or at least one of these games. So hopefully he gets in the lineup soon because I cannot wait to see him play. But brings me to my next question. Where do you guys put him? And we'll start with Tony.
Yeah. I would say the Hughes line, but I think he's going to be on the Nico line.
Do you break that Nico Hischier lineup right now as how good they're playing?
That's the thing is, man. This is the thing with this whole. I was thinking about this morning. I was texting Chris constantly last night. I was like, dude, I think this is going to happen. Twitter. I was actually went to bed. It was 1:00 here. I think it was 1:00. I was like, okay, I'm going to go to sleep. And all of a sudden, I see on Twitter the Devils have acquired Timo, but no details. So I'm messaging Chris. I got to get up in a couple hours for my kids, and I'm thinking to myself, man, this is a great time to be a Devils fan because think of all the shitty years we have had. You think of all the things. We've won 3 cups. So, I mean, first of all, we are very fortunate compared to some teams. But think about from 94, the abuse we took, from Koval fucked, as I call it. Bruce Driver wearing a Ranger uniform, Scotty Gomez screwing us, the things that
John McClain wore a friggin' Ranger uniform.
Yeah, even when we were going to win the cup in '95, well, we better win because if not, we're going to be the Nashville Cats next year.
That's right. That's all we heard the whole cup run.
And now,
the final game, they couldn't resist.
I mean, the Swamp City Dreamers, whatever they called it back then. It was now, and it started with Dougie Hamilton. But now we're getting guys now. Now we are every trade deadline in the last few years. What have you guys seen? Okay, we're going to lose this guy. And we were losing guys that weren't even superstars. We were losing guys that we loved, like Adam Henrique and stuff like that. Guys that but we were always selling. It was just sell. Now, how exciting is it that we have to even talk about this? We're getting the guys now. We're getting the Timus, the Hamiltons. We're getting the guys that would never want to come here usually. And
I think you're right about the Hamilton being the guy to kind of set it up because when free agency rolled around that summer and he was the biggest name and we were in the mix. How many of you really thought he was coming to New Jersey? I know I was like, yeah, we're probably not going to get him. We're a shitty team. Yeah, I get we're rebuilding, but still, and they landed him. And I think that opened up a lot of guys' eyes in the NHL too. Maybe this isn't such a shitty place to play and maybe there is an opportunity to actually win here. So, he was a big stepping stone, but I think, Tom Fitzgerald has just been masterful as the general manager of this team. And,
it's got to be GM of the year. I mean,
right?
Who has made, starting from the off season to today, who has made the moves that this guy's made?
They all seem to work out.
Pretty much everything. And anything that, didn't produce a lot, like we were mentioning Halla earlier.
Look at Marino, though.
Can't, on paper, it should have been better, what's that? Say again?
Look at Marino, though. I mean,
amazing.
Some things, it's it's been great, man. I mean.
And you basically got him for nothing. I mean, you gave up Ty Smith, right? And, who cares? But so, Bob, where do you put him?
So, I mean, this could change, obviously, at any time. Right now, I would have him with Hughes. I think his grit with Hughes. Then you have the freedom to kind of put whoever you want on the other side because I'm kind of more into the duos than the trios when it comes to the lines. And, I mean, the Hischier line is just flying right now. So I just don't see any reason to break that up. Hischier and Mercer, and then they could be a little bit more responsible towards each other. I just feel like a better fit is with Hughes. Either that or I just really want to see it. So that's where I would put him. And then my bigger question just, comes playoff time. What do you even do with a guy like Palat who's his salary's starting to look large now. We have this other guy in the mix, and you got to start to worry about these numbers. But Tony, he's good in the playoffs, so we'll see.
Andre Palat's value is, you're right. His value is not in, his goal scoring this year and stuff like that. No, his value comes in the playoffs, when they get deep into a playoff series and this guy can turn around and say, all right, I'll show you guys how to do this. Follow me. I know how to win. And he brings more to that locker room, I think, as far as the leadership goes. I even think more so than what he does on the ice. And I do expect him to kind of, step up during the playoffs and have a good playoff. But, having a guy like that on the team, he's the only Devil on the team that's won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, two of them.
To have that guy on the team, I think, is invaluable. And I agree with what you guys say. I would put him on the Hughes line with Brad on the other side. I think that would be really fun to watch and keep that first line together. And they said Palat and Halla, Sharangovich, and then your Miles Woodline, McLeod, and Boquist or Bastian or whatever. And I think that's a hell of a lineup. Dan, what do you think?
No, that makes a lot of sense. The Hughes line is the one that I think you don't want to break up. Sorry, the Hischier line is the one you don't want to break up. So it makes sense to do what everybody wants to see is how well, and that might take some time. So I think you start it right away. You give Meier a chance to play with Hughes, and I think that would be the smartest thing to do. You know, who do you rotate around them? I don't know. I mean, you might try different guys if it doesn't click right away, but I wouldn't mess with the Hischier line. It seems to be the most consistent line we have all year. So
yeah. So we, especially like Dan, you and I, we have talked now for months about Mackenzie Blackwood and his place on this team and where we think his place on this team should be, and if he is not injured, if he's not letting up 5 goals on 6 shots, if he can place that steady backup to Vanacek, we're fine with that. You put him in on back-to-backs, you give him a couple of starts and don't put too much pressure on him as long as he can stay healthy. Well, we know last week at practice he gets hurt again. He's on IR. Akira Schmid is more than capable of taking over the reins here. And I think some Devil fans, and at least I know I could speak for me and Dan, definitely, we're much happier that Akira Schmid is the backup. But my question then, with Blackwood's contract, we're probably not re-signing him. That's, we know that. This is most likely his last year in New Jersey. He's on IR again. Does Mackenzie Blackwood ever suit up for the Devils again?
Well,
I think
as
so.
you said, I sincerely hope not. That's just me. I don't know. What do you think, Tony?
I do think he will. The thing with Blackwood is I don't think he was. We all know he's not a star. He's not a starter, right? He's always hurt. That's his big. To me, as a backup, I don't hate him, but he's just that kind of player who's always injured. You're never going to get a full season out of him. What's a shame is if he wasn't hurt right now, we could probably move him this week. And it's I don't. We all know he's not coming back. That we do know. And with Dawes and and Schmid, we have guys that can take that spot. I don't hate Blackwood. Like I said, there was last year. He came through sometimes. Just he's always injured. He's not he's not a starter. I mean, with Vitek now, it's crazy, isn't it? Like now, if you don't score this guy, first period is usually when you can get some goals by us. Sometimes he just gets tougher as it goes. Man, he is like that goalie that we haven't had in a long time. So. Blackwood is done, obviously. I do think that I have a feeling if he does get healthy, he might be in the playoffs with us as backup. I mean, I do think he'll be back on the ice. I don't know if he'll play that much, but I do think he'll be back on, which he's not needed back on. Like you'd said, we do have the reinforcements to not have him back on, but I do have a feeling we'll see him again before the season's over.
Bobby, what do you, like, how long is the IR? Is that, 14 days? Is that definite? Do you know?
I'm actually not sure.
Okay, I thought you would know. I think it's like 14 days is definite. So, what is there, 6 weeks left in the season? And I just think if Schmid is up and he gets a couple of starts in those 2 to 3 weeks that Blackwood's out and he plays like he did against the Flyers, I just think at that point, so close to the playoffs, don't upset the apple cart. Just whatever you have to do with Blackwood, put him on the shelf for the rest of the year. Let him heal up, let him move on in the summertime. But I think Akira Schmid has proven over and over again that he is a better backup than Blackwood. And I mean, Blackwood has. I don't think we shut out the Flyers if Blackwood's in there. I really don't. I mean, I don't know. I can't say that for sure, but it's just the team doesn't miss a beat. You see it when Blackwood is when Vanacek's in goal, they play a certain way. When Blackwood is in net, they seem to just play a lot tighter. They're they make dumb mistakes. Like, I don't know if it's just that they're trying to overcompensate for maybe the fact that he's going to let a couple of soft ones in, and they know that, or at least it's in the back of their head. But they don't do that with Akira Schmid. They play exactly the way that they play when Vitek Vanacek's in there. So I'm not happy that Blackwood's hurt. I don't want to see anybody get injured, but I'm okay with it. I'm fine with Akira Schmid up there. And Bob, what do you think about Blackwood and Schmid?
Well, I think to answer your first part of the question, we will see Blackwood again. As soon as he's healed up, he'll get a game or two, and he'll be the backup, and they'll probably be the one that they're going to carry into the playoffs. I just think that's where they're going to go with this. I don't think we're going to be able to move him. It'd be great if we could get some of that money off the books too, but we're certainly not re-signing him. But I just think, it's just a feeling the way they've run this team, starting him when we felt like he didn't need to start, and they're going to carry him along. But I do think he's gone, and I do think that I'm very comfortable with Schmid. And next year our goaltender should be set as far as I'm concerned. And I wouldn't mind going back to seeing somebody here get about 70% of the games. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know if that'll ever happen again.
I know.
I am afraid of them bringing Blackwood back. It's a possibility. I hope they don't, because like you said, the team needs confidence in their goaltenders, and the goaltenders need confidence in their position. So Schmid's been called up, and he's playing with that I'm here to prove myself thing. But that's actually not what you want from a backup. You want a backup to settle into, I play with this team, this is my team too. And if he's got to take over because the starter goes down in the playoffs, you don't want him to come in without that enough games under his belt, without having that kind of rapport with the team. Schmid has done as best as you can do to build that. I mean, he hasn't had given him a letdown. He had one game with maybe a couple questionable goals tops. But all in all, he's been great. But he should have had more starts, right? And we've already wasted so much time giving Blackwood another chance and another chance. And like you said, they're not going to move him this year. So that was the rationale for why, well, we're bringing him back because we want to showcase him so we can get something for him. Well, that's not happening. I mean, nobody wants him anymore. He was injured. Nobody's going to take a chance on him for much at all. He's not going to help us get any more trade bait as trade bait. And he's not going to add to this team with his play. That's just not going to happen. If anything, if Vitek was to go down, I would be in favor of Blackwood coming up to be Schmid's backup. And I would take Schmid over Blackwood in any situation. I mean, until he proves me wrong, Schmid has been playing wonderfully. He's done everything he's supposed to do. I don't understand why we didn't give this guy more practice. I understand, maybe we're going to trade him. Well, we didn't. So he should be done now. And if he's not done now, then I really don't understand where this team's going with this. And it just doesn't make any sense to me that he ever plays again with this team.
I agree 1,000%. I do not see him suiting back up. I think at this moment, especially with the Meier deal done now, you better get yourself right for the playoffs. You got 5-6 weeks to get the team that you want to put out there in the playoffs playoff ready. This team is not playoff ready because they haven't been there. You go upsetting the apple cart by taking this goalie out, this goalie in, and when's Blackwood coming back? And then is he going to get injured again? Can you even practice the guy? Can the guy even practice anymore? This is the second practice he was injured in. How do you feel comfortable putting him in a game? And especially, how do you feel comfortable putting him in a playoff game? I just don't see it. So we got 50% of us think he's never playing a game in a Devil uniform again, and the other 50 think he is. So we're going to see where that one goes. But, guys, how cool is this? We have, and I can't remember the last time this has ever happened, if it's ever happened, and it probably has, 2 30-goal scorers on this team. Like, how awesome is that?
Sick.
We got a 31-goal scorer, and we have a 30. How many does Hughes have? 34.
And Brad will hit 30. What's he at, like 24, 26, I think?
Jack Hughes is at 36. So
36.
Yeah, he could hit 50. It's possible
yes.
that he finishes this season with 50 goals,
That I know
or damn
we
near
never
close.
So you think if
Never.
you got Hughes, Timo, and like I said, Brad will probably get 30.
Well,
He's
even
at
Heischer.
25.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Heischer's
Yeah.
at 25, so
Yeah.
he's probably going to get 30. Who else, Bobby?
So we got Brad at 24, like we said. Heischer 25.
Maybe
Dougie
Sissoko
Hamilton.
Over 30. Yeah, Dougie's got like
I mean,
18,
17.
He
right?
could push 30. He
Yeah.
could. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
The offensive production of this team, it still is kind of hard for me to sometimes deal with because I'm just so used to the defensive Devil teams that, like, even now it's like seeing them going out there and scoring 6-7 goals.
Kicking
like,
ass often.
Yeah. It's still kind of like, holy shit, this is the Devils. This can't be the Devils. Like, the Devils don't win 7-0. They don't have 2 30-goal scorers, maybe a 50-goal scorer, maybe a couple of 40-goal scorers, all in the same season. That's insane.
And how often? How can you guys remember? How often you guys remember? Like now, this season, when there's the 3 minutes left and we're down by a goal, I'm like, okay, let's just pull the goalie now. We'll just get this right back. I mean, what the hell? I never felt like that before, you know.
They really are the comeback kids. I've never seen a hockey team be able to do that. How many times is it now this year? 8, 9 times that they pulled the goal?
Yeah, I mean, it's insane.
Less than a minute and a half left or so, and they either score, tie it up, or very rarely do they let that empty netter in. I mean, when they want to lock it down, they can. And so, we went over like where this team fits in the Eastern Conference before this deal was made, and now that the deal is made, I know we haven't seen Meier play with this team at all, and he can step out on the ice against Colorado and break his ankle, and it could all go to shit. But let's hope that doesn't happen. Where's this team fit in the Eastern Conference now? Because now I look at this team and I'm like, we're 3 points behind Colorado. It might not be the Rangers.
Yeah, we're 3 points.
Carolina, right?
Carolina, and what? 6 points ahead of the Rangers now.
Yeah, and Rangers won last night. They beat who the hell did they play?
LA.
Yeah, they had a big win there.
Oh.
Stopped
Washington lost again last night. Actually,
they lost
7-0.
bad. Yeah. So, I mean, right now I think Buffalo is in the wild card spot and the Islanders are in the wild card spot. I think those are your 2 Eastern Conference wild cards. And, this team, they have a heck of a chance of winning the Metropolitan Division.
Yeah, that would be huge. That would be huge to get that first round opponent. That's going to be a little bit more of a break-in playoff round for this very young, fresh team. I've never been looking for winning the top of your division or conference going into the playoffs. But this year, I think it's going to be a big difference, change maker, because of the way they bracket,
right,
because of the way they set up the playoffs. I don't want a 2 versus 3 for their first playoff round, so I really would hope they catch Carolina and get first here and open up against maybe there's no easy opponents, we know that, but maybe the Islanders would be an easier opponent than, say, the Rangers, right?
Well, I think also with what you had said, Bobby, about just you didn't want to face the Rangers just for that emotional value of it, or one of you guys were saying that, like,
That's Bobby,
yeah, to go in and have that kind of emotion for most of these guys' first ever playoff experience. Is it going to be a little too much for them? Like, do you get a Buffalo in the first round, and maybe you have a tough series, of course, but you come out of it and get yourself ready for those, the more of the rivalry game against the Rangers, against Carolina. You get ready for them in the second round. But it's 2 weeks ago. I'm thinking we're not catching Carolina. Now everything changed. Everything changed with this move.
Yeah. So I don't think there's many people who would disagree with this statement that the Devils probably got Mo better than any other team at this particular trade deadline right now. The exception of maybe Toronto, because what I hear, they're making news again today. They're really going for it. But for what this does to this team, it's already a fantastic team, and adding this element and that heavy power forward, which I don't even get to say anymore. I just think that we got better than everybody else that got better around us. And I tried to make a point the other day about Patrick Kane and the Rangers. And I again said, does it really move the needle? And, you guys correctly point out, well, sure. And power play and certain things, you certainly don't want to play against Patrick Kane when you don't have to. But I was listening to a couple analysts today, and they were kind of saying the same thing. Like, they just kind of, if they get Kane, they got 2 of the same players. They just kind of went out and got Tarasenko and Kane, kind of fulfilling the same role. They didn't really add a dimension. And you're taking a team who was already considered one of the top teams that we were nervous to play, and now they're really altering the chemistry. We're not altering the chemistry. We're bringing a guy in who fits perfectly and can bash some people along the way and be a little bit of protection. I think we just leapt over the Rangers for sure. And I'm literally at this point, I'm not scared to play anybody.
Well, you're definitely right. He is the archetype power forward. I mean, this guy is, has all the elements. And, I agree. I think the Rangers want Patrick Kane because of the name. So, it's bring the big name in, make the big splash, show everybody that, hey, we have Patrick Kane and we have, Panarin and Tarasenko and Fox and everybody else that's on that team. All these big names, but yeah, you got Tarasenko and Kane, who are both well past their prime. And you're bringing them in to, like you said, yeah, their power play is going to get better. But you know what? Our power play just got a hell of a lot better. And did you say Mo better?
I said Mo better.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard that.
I thought I heard that. I just wanted to make sure that he said Mo better.
Mo better.
All right. We did get Mo better.
Patrick Kane, like, if we were a perennial, contender that we're on the way to being, Patrick Kane, to me, that's a great, like, hey, here's a nice, missing piece or something. Maybe you're already a really great team. You want that one extra piece, tons of experience, put them on the team. I just feel like the Rangers, they're just, like you said, they're bringing everybody in. They're bringing them in for the name. I mean, 2 right wings. So literally, are there other 2 just slotting right down and off the chart? Like, or who are they playing? I don't even know who they're going to play. And you know what else? It's kind of like the storyline is setting them up for failure. If we do wind up facing them, everything's going to point to the Rangers. Everyone's going to talk about the Rangers and all their big names, and it's ripe for the picking for an upset. Give me a 4-0 sweep. Let's get out of here and move on.
Oh, how great would that be?
I think one thing with the Devils, I don't think the Devils are having fun right now. Like, they're a cocky in a good way. They're young. They're having fun. They, it's funny when they go, to MSG and play. Obviously, I think we're going to play the Rangers. Maybe the Devils are. It might be how to explain it. Like, they might just. They're playing with fire right now. They don't even. It's kind of nice to watch them play. They're not going to be scared of the Rangers. I don't think at first. I think they're going to, because, the team is just gelling. You could see it. It's like a bunch of high school friends. Like, they're young, fast. I
think they're kind of all taking the personality of Hughes a little bit, which when you listen to Hughes talk, he's obviously a kid, okay? Yeah. He's got all the cockiness of a super talented kid, but not so much in a bad way. And, like, this is his playground. Like, he doesn't even realize, that anything is impossible at all, because it's not for him.
How about when he scored that goal against the Rangers? And he shook his jersey's logo at the fans. And come on, man. That is just like,
That's what we need, yeah.
And he wants this, definitely. And he's got, like, a very cool demeanor. He's got drive, but you don't see him all hissy fit. I haven't seen him ever get, like earlier before we went on, we were talking about Taylor Hall. And he does not have Taylor Hall's personality. He's got a different kind of personality. They both were cocky in their own way. But, I don't know what it takes to make Taylor Hall happy. Hughes is enjoying his life. He's enjoying what he's doing. This is coming together the way he had hoped. And so I think, like, the team is kind of taking on some of that personality. We're all in that shared experience. And, I could see that happening. Like you said, it is a pretty thing to watch.
And they do. They play hard for each other. And that it does take a little bit of time to get to a team to that point where they they're going to give 100% every night on the ice because that guy next to them is giving 100% every time they're on the ice. And you've seen it with every team that wins the Stanley Cup. That's what you have to gel like that. This team seems to definitely be doing that, and I agree with you. And another thing about Hughes that I really like is he genuinely loves to play in New Jersey. Like he says it all the time. Best fans in the NHL. He loves. He wears it as like a, wears it on his sleeve when we lose at home. Like, he hates that. Losing in front of the fans, all that stuff. Like, he's just a guy who I think can take this franchise to a place that we've never even seen. 3 cups in 7 years, 8 years was awesome. But I mean, they haven't won anything yet. But I mean, these guys should really be in the running over the next 5 or 6 years for a Stanley Cup every single year.
And think about it, with Timo not signing that extension, I mean, it doesn't. I think Timo's going to want to play here. We have a team now that people are going to want to play with. We're not used to this.
And he's super close with Hischier, so that's a plus. And
the Swiss connection, right? Yes. We got three Swiss nationals.
And Fitzgerald said today, I read that he's not worried at all about locking Meier up. He just thinks it'll happen. And he was asked about Bratt, and he said and Bratt's agent apparently knew this, that was my next order of business as soon as the trade deadline was over. So apparently he's going to try and lock up Bratt, because that's the other thing that kind of scares you, right? Like, losing maybe both those guys in this offseason, like, you can't allow that to happen.
It's a whole different show next year then.
Exactly.
What was that? I didn't hear you.
It'll be a whole different show next year then.
Yeah. You can't let both of them go. Exactly. You can't let both of them go. And again, Fitzgerald, if there's a way to lock them both up, he's going to. So, that's over the summer. That's right now, we're about to get rolling and, getting into the playoffs here. And, it's funny, Tony, do you remember the dude Fred that used to work at the arcade next to us when we were over on the blow up, right?
Oh, yeah.
He was a huge Ranger fan. Mm-hmm. And in '94, when they beat us, and he was gloating and everything, I made a bet with him. I said, Fred, the Devils will win 3 Stanley Cups before the Rangers win another one. I'll bet you $20. I didn't see that dude for about 10, 12 years after that. One night I'm in a bar and I see him and he walks up to me and hands me $20. I had no idea what the hell he was talking about. Hello? I had no idea what he was talking about. He's like, we made that bet. You said the Devils will win 3 cups before the Rangers won another one. He handed me the $20. And this team, right now I'm at like, I want to see how far this team can go and all this stuff and great. But just win a cup before the Rangers do. Don't let the Rangers win a cup before this team.
And you know what? I got to clarify something too here. It's just me sitting here as Joe fan saying, Devils Rangers first round. I want to avoid all that extra emotion that they don't need. That first bad check, and now they're more worried about the big bad Rangers and the rivalry than the game. That doesn't mean that players like Jack Hughes' eyes don't light up at the concept of playing the Rangers. He might just take his game to another level, just because he's like, all right, you know what, guys, get on here. We're taking them down, and who knows what he can do when he's that motivated. So again, it was just me saying I've just watched enough hockey to be like, just prefer to maybe get into an opponent where the focus is on hockey and not on rivalry. But this guy, the way he plays, he might just put the cape on permanently.
I think there's a lot of guys on this team that can put that cape on come playoff time. I really do.
Jack always plays good against the Rangers. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
And think about it, like, that lottery goes a different way, and Jack Hughes is wearing a Ranger jersey.
Yep. We'd hate him. We would hate him.
Hate him, because we got Capo Caco. What are you kidding me?
Yeah.
They got Jack Hughes, and we have Capo Caco.
So what is it? How many goals does Hughes have this year? Is it 36, Dan?
36.
Yeah. 36. So the career Kaku is 38 goals, and this year we got used with 36. I mean, and
is that really
38
Capo's
career.
38 career goals?
Yeah, career, I believe it is. And that was that's a couple days ago I saw that, so it could be obviously a couple more.
That's twice too, because the Heischer year too was it Nolan Patrick, and it was the 1A1.
I feel bad for Nolan Patrick though, man.
He made the right decision on that. Patrick's crap.
Yeah,
he wouldn't have the team at all.
He's done, Patrick, I believe now.
Patrick? What?
So he's always hurt. He was always hurt too.
Oh, yeah.
And he had some really bad. I don't even think he's playing right now. Like
he made that when because there wasn't too much talk between who the Devils were going to take when Hughes was number one. It was night and day. With the Heischer thing, there was a lot of talk. Who were the Devils going to take? And I remember them talking to Nolan Patrick, and they asked him who he'd prefer to play for. And he's like, I don't care whoever drafts me, but I just got to say, I prefer cheesesteaks over pizza. All right. How's that working out for you, Nolan?
Remember his face, too, when they called out Nico's name? I don't know if you guys remember his face.
Yeah.
It was like...
Yeah. And, again, another one that if it went the other way, how much different does this team look? I mean, the fact that we were able to nail both those picks, and I'm just so psyched to see the rest of this season and see how this team pans out with Meier in there. It's going to be so much damn fun.
And remember, we still have a week till trade deadline. I know something's going to happen. I mean, Fitzgerald's even saying his crew comes in tomorrow. He said actually for the to get ready for the trade. So they have something's going to happen.
Well, I mean, you think they're going to make another move then?
Yeah, I do.
What do you think they're going to go for?
Well, hopefully defenseman. I think, and I know Bobby was saying about Holtz. I still would not be too sure that Holtz would, if they don't move him this week, if they get someone big. I mean, but I think they're going to make one more move at least. I mean, I think,
I'll gladly put him in any package that brings in like that next solid defenseman we need. I'm just saying, as a prospect, I'm far from giving up on him, and if he sticks around, I just see what he can do.
And he's the victim of having too many good players. Like you don't get to see him enough. He's not really getting. Our team is so stacked with these young talents. It's like.
I don't buy that. He had every opportunity that Dawson Mercer had, and Dawson Mercer and him came into the same camp. Everybody thought that Holtz was going to take that position, and Dawson Mercer just made it impossible to not give it to him. He played that much better, So these two dudes are on the exact same trajectory. Dawson Mercer picked the NHL speed up a lot quicker, picked up, especially his defensive play a lot quicker, all around a better player. I mean, I just think that Alex Holtz is going to be Pavel Zacha. That's it. I've called him Pavel Zacha light since the beginning, and that's what I think he is. So, I mean, and Bobby, you can watch him maybe four times a year when he's playing in Washington when we have Tom Wilson.
Like I said,
I would love Tom Wilson. I'm sure it's just a rumor, but I would love Tom Wilson on this team.
I didn't hear any of that, but oh man, that makes it move a little bit, right? I mean,
and you heard it too, Dan. You heard a little bit of rumblings about that.
I saw two different articles on it, and it's definitely nothing concrete. Look, like I said, my bar for the defenseman we need is really not that high as Tom Wilson. I want somebody solid to basically replace Severson. That's how I feel with it. I'm not saying we got to land the best defenseman ever because we got a pretty good core. Of course, I'd love Tom Wilson. Of course, I'd love somebody who's top tier. But honestly, we could even do a minor trade that gives you a boost for a defensive defenseman in place of Severson, and that's a win. And I really feel like that's
Which
it.
Could happen.
Yeah, hopefully.
Here's my problem with that, and this question's really kind of for Dan because he's been talking about this defense problem for a while. Assuming we go out and get anybody, right? Severson's not going to be in that trade. So he's essentially still here. So who is really going to be sat if we get this other person? Who would you sit? Because I don't think management would sit Severson.
I think that they would trade Severson.
What if they can't take him? What if they can't get rid of him? We're just assuming he's going to be gone.
Well, what do you think, Dan? It was going to you.
You're not going to re-sign him, right? So the money's already spent. The money's spent. So if we can't trade him, which is option one, option two is put him on waivers. And I know that sounds like it sucks. You're making a playoff run. Now this is assuming you get a defenseman who is maybe not like the question mark that like Harrington is. Can we run with him? And this is assuming, we got somebody who's got more experience than some of these great prospects that maybe we're afraid to give that spot to. I don't know. Honestly, if we don't pull off by the trade deadline, I still would love to see Luke Hughes come up and get some games in, and let's make a decision after 4 or 5 games. Can we give him the spot or not? Because I feel like it's imperative to get rid of Severson. He's going to cost you games. You can't lose too many games because of one defenseman in the playoffs without going out of the playoffs. So, I mean, I feel like that's the number one thing is replace Severson fast.
I don't know that the powers that be feel the same is my point. I don't think
I agree with Bobby. I think Severson's liability.
They love him. They love him.
So it's not going to happen is kind of my point. So
you might be right.
In the event somebody else does come over, now you got to make a pretty hard decision on who you're sitting because that core, for the most part, has been pretty good all year.
Well, who would you sit besides Severson, though? Is there another one to sit besides Severson?
If we're talking playoffs, I sit Severson. But I'm just telling you that's not the feeling I get. They just seem to always be behind him.
So, Chris, you're saying Brendan Smith, maybe?
Well, yeah, I mean, let's say that they go and they get Tom Wilson, right? So your number one pairing is, Marino, Graves, you got Siegenthaler and Hamilton. And then you would have, Wilson and Severson, or Wilson and Brendan Smith, or Wilson and Ball. I just think you have enough guys. I think that you'd be okay without Severson. I totally.
Yeah, and I think Wilson is a right. I got to double check that, but I think they're both right defensemen. So that's more likely you're going to replace Severson than Smith in that scenario.
I mean, Smith has not been playing well,
right?
But I just think Severson
got way too many penalties. Smith is killing us with penalties.
And Severson's mistakes, you don't win. And we've said it a million times. You don't win Stanley Cups with players on your team like Damon Severson.
They're the most untimely mistakes.
Right.
Too. He gives you these mistakes that kill you. That's just the worst times that have a mistake.
So Wilson, I thought Wilson was a little bit older than that. He's 28. I thought he was a little bit older. I thought he was in his 30s.
Got all the playoff experience in the world. I mean, he'd be such a get. Add another playoff guy to this team. Well, it would be huge. It would be huge to get him.
Pucks and pitchforks here. Nick Villano, he wrote an article saying New Jersey Devils is now right time to target Tom Wilson. So now he has. I think this was written a day ago. So this was right at the trade, right when the Meier deal was done. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't. He was still talking about the Meier deal, so I don't think he has anything on here as far as what you would give up. Because, I mean, I don't think anybody really thought Washington was going to start selling, and then they did. But the one thing about Wilson that I'm not quite sure about, because they had promised Ovechkin, like, we are not going to tear this thing down. We're going to try and stay competitive every year. If you go and trade Tom Wilson, that's a sign you're tearing it down.
And I've even heard they're talking about moving Oshie.
Oof.
Yeah,
really?
I heard that today too on one of the NHL channels.
Yeah, he's amazing. And Wilson, I thought, like, I tell you, I don't know if you heard this, Don. I didn't know. I thought he was in his 30s. He's only 28.
I thought he was 29, but okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, he's 28. Wilson's been a dirty player in the past when no one cares.
Is he a right defenseman too, like
That's what I'm
Severson?
checking.
I thought I came across that, but I would look it up again. I'm not sure.
Man, if you had Tom Wilson on this team, I think
It's another game changer, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he changes what he brings to your game. Nobody on this Devils roster plays the way he does. Nobody, and we've been saying since the 13-game win streak. It was just Dan and I doing the show. Like, yeah, this team's fantastic. What happens in the playoffs? What happens when they play the bigger, grittier teams? When things, when things get a lot smaller out there, you don't have enough space. Everything is a lot. Every excuse me. Every inch is so much work to get. What are they going to do when they play a team that can lock it down and play strong defense, have guys that hit? Tom Wilson, he definitely, throws makes you a legitimate contender in that area. I really
because they're going to target our guys. That's how it works. They're going to target the uses. They're going to target these dudes. And if you have to have that dude that. With Wilson, they think twice about it. Back in the day, you had guys like Peluso and guys that were there to make you think about before you basically fuck around and find out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
but he's a winger, though, too. He's not a defenseman. He's a winger, so
Wilson?
That changes things, yeah.
I thought Wilson was a defenseman.
Yeah, he kind of plays like it, and maybe because we got the Stevens image in our head, but it looks like he's always been a winger. I'm
Are
trying
we
to think
that fucking stupid that we seriously...
Yeah, it turns out we're that stupid. But
Holy
you know
shit.
what? He's got that grit there that you'd still want on this team. It presents a problem to put another talented winger on this team a little bit when we're looking for a defenseman. But yeah,
Yeah, I could have sworn that he was a freaking that he was a defenseman. What a bunch of idiots we are.
yeah. I mean, he plays a good, tight, gritty game. So those kind of people always make you think about some of the defensemen out there. But it says like he did start playing minor hockey as a defenseman, but I think his time in the NHL has been always as a winger. Let's see. Yeah, pretty much.
He's only played 13 games this season. So, but hey man, that would be another guy then. I like him better as far as a winger. Just his style of play. You had the two guys with size like Meier and Wilson on there. And this whole team, I mean, they're just going to be so much fun to watch here on out. And I cannot wait for the playoffs. I can't wait until we do our brackets. We got to pick. Yeah, we're going to have to pick every series in the games, and we're going to be going over a lot of stats. And I'm working on all the graphs and everything now.
The analytics? You got the analytics going?
I hate analytics. I really do. Like,
it just sounds so cool, though,
I
right?
know,
Analytics.
It's a cool word, but
yeah.
I hate the advanced, especially in football. I don't understand half of the ones in hockey, and I'm reading about all these different, advanced.
They get way out there, it's like,
yeah. And
what?
Just give me, games played, goals, assists, points, plus, minus. That's all I need. All this other, he, scores 37% of the time when he's at the left circle and when
on
he's
a
at
Tuesday.
The bumper. Right. It's like, come on, man.
That's why I can't be doing those fantasy sports, like fantasy football and stuff. I just can't.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I've never played fantasy football. I tried fantasy hockey once, but there's too many fucking players.
You got to root against your own team when a certain player's playing them. I mean, come on.
I can't do that.
Obviously our fantasy team would be fucked because we'd be drafting wingers as a defenseman. So that's a problem.
My fantasy team, I got Tom Wilson starting in goal tonight.
Hey, we make a mistake, we got to live with it, right?
What a bunch of fucking dipshits. Anyway,
Weed is legal now.
Yeah, Tom
That
Fitzgerald's job is safe.
That it is, my friend.
Imagine him calling
That
up.
it
I
is.
need your defenseman, Tom Wilson. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
then.
sure. What do you want for him?
Zamboni driver shows up.
All right. Well, so what's the game? Is Wednesday night? Or is
Yeah,
it
I can't
Thursday?
wait for Wednesday. I mean, this makes like every game like a must-see game. 'Cause
Uh-huh.
you want to see like not only his debut, but you want to see how this team's gelling.
Do you guys think he's playing Wednesday?
I don't know.
They were saying that he says he wants to play, but whether or not he's going to be able to is a different story. I really hope he's out there, especially that game, right? Cup champs, the new look Devs, and you put him out there. Oh man, that would just be awesome. And wait until he comes home. I think Tuesday night, right? That would be the first game against Toronto, right?
Did you guys see the press conference with Fitzgerald? He was saying that because the fans were chanting Timo before they got him, and he's
Right.
like, he's like, I heard it, he's like, I mean, it's just this guy was destined to be on this team. Like, it was like almost like even before he got on the team, you kind of knew he was probably going to land. I don't know, it just felt like he should be a Devil.
So he just does what the fans tell him to do, and we should just go start
It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
trade Blackwood chants and
Yeah.
trade Severson chants. and
Free
get the-
tickets.
That's it.
Exactly.
So Wednesday night. So Wednesday night against Colorado. We got Friday night against who are we playing Friday?
Vegas.
Thursday is it Friday against the Av? Wait, I
No.
mean it's
Tomorrow.
Wednesday, Avs. Friday, Vegas.
Vegas.
Okay.
Gotcha. That's another tough one.
Yeah.
Those are two really good games. So, all right. Well, how about we jump on Thursday if you guys are up to it, and we'll chat a little bit about the game Wednesday. Timo Meier's hopeful debut. Anything else you gentlemen want to talk about?
I mean, that about covers it for me. How about you guys?
Yeah. No, I'm good, man.
I'm good.
I'm good. All right.
right.
So that's it. We will see you when we see you.
All right,
Peace.
Puckers out.